Big round of applause.
There is no such thing as a child prostitute. We're all familiar with adult sex trafficking, but we fail to recognize that this disgusting underground business occurs to children and young teens as well. According to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, over 800,000 kids a year go missing, and of those 800,000, 300,000 are being sold into sex trafficking. The term child prostitute needs to stop being used. Today I will be talking about the problem, cause, and solution to this deluding term that is constantly being used. The use of the word child prostitute leads to the issue of sex trafficking not being broadcasted enough in America. The phrase may seem clear because it proclaims the fact of money being exchanged for sex, but it is also misleading because it poses consent and misconduct. Now that I have presented to you the problems, I will talk about the causes. Sex trafficking is a crime that most people only associate with foreign countries, such as Latin America, Asia, or Eastern Europe. But in America alone, this is a $10 billion business. Pimps and criminal gangs all across America have been targeting runaways and teens and children with disadvantaged backgrounds and forcing them into child prostitution. Joe Mazzia, a former New York City cop, stated that once these kids get on the street, that's all we say. Joe Mazzia, a former New York City cop, stated that once these children and kids get on the street, it is only a matter of days until they get exploited. The sales of children for sex is it doesn't only occur online, although that is the most common way that we all know occurs and that they do so. But gang members and pimps, of course, are also using local hotels, motels, and even clubs to facilitate their sex trafficking. In an article, The Forgotten Children, one of the stories that a victim shared was at the age of 15, she was forced into sex trafficking by a well-known local street gang referred to as the Bloods. She was taken to many clubs that were used and that were specifically set up for these gangs to run their sex trafficking operations. Children that are being bought and sold have been treated like criminals, rather than victims and survivors of child rape. When the media reports or attempts to tell their stories, the way that they describe them is misleading to the public about what is actually happening. The way that they describe them implies that the victims are giving consent, but majority of these children aren't even of legal age to give consent. With Thelma Ortiz Walker Pettigrew was a victim of sex trafficking, and from the ages 10 to 17, she was beaten, tortured, gang raped, and abused into forcing her into forcing prostitution and giving her body away every single night. The implications that the press and social media provide to the public is misleading and highly inaccurate. This matter is not about choice, it is about abuse and rape. And because of the way that they're described, it lowers the importance of the issue. According to the research by Human Rights Project for Girls, there have been over 5,000 instances in the past 5 years where the reporters and media have printed using the phrases child prostitute or child underage prostitute and many other variations to describe these exploited children. Now that I have talked about the problems and causes, I will now present to you some solutions. The traumatizing things that these children and young teens experience and continue to experience every single day aren't being broadcasted and published enough to the media. These these are the kinds of things that need to be addressed more so that we can all keep in mind and be more aware of these things occurring in our social environments. The press needs to stop using the term child prostitute and many other variations like child sex worker or juvenile prostitute, because not one of these things exists whatsoever. It is the media's job to provide precision and clarity to the public about every situation and issue that occurs in our daily lives. By removing these terms from the media reports, this will hopefully help cancel out the implications and the impression of this being a consensual affair. And this will also allow the victims to be looked at with respect rather than dishonorable for misconduct. In conclusion, the terms that are used to address these exploited children and the issues of child sex trafficking isn't being broadcasted enough. And it also misleads the seriousness of the matter. Today I presented to you the problem, cause, and solution to the inappropriate use of the term child prostitute. How we are named is how we are treated, and these victims and survivors of child rape deserve to be treated with respect and honor.